My name is Kevin Collins, and I'm about to show you a screencast of how I participated in the Edit My Raw File program, I guess is how you'd call it, from FroKnowsPhoto.com. This is week 2's picture of the Edit My Raw File program, and it's a stunning picture. Being able to capture a dog or an animal for that matter, actually controlling the animal enough to make it sit still is a feat in and of itself. I know my sister's border collie, I could never get to sit still well enough for me to take a picture for it. So anyway, this is the raw image from the forums, and what I'm going to do is basically talk about what I did to make it more pleasing to me. Okay, so we're just going to talk about what's going on with the picture right now. It's a busy picture. There's no other way to describe it, I guess. And I think the dog gets lost in all of that. I mean, he is a darker color than most things there, he or she, but it still gets lost in my mind. And this red plastic crate back here in the background, it just, I mean, I look at the dog, and then the first thing I want to do is look at that red crate because it's just so bold. So what I want to do is figure out a way to get the dog to stand out from the background and become the dominant feature in this photo. So what I did was basically open it in Camera Raw, which is for all intents and purposes Adobe Photoshop's version of Lightroom, I guess, or the develop module of Lightroom. So here we have the original. Let me make sure I got a snapshot here, and it is. So the first thing I tried to do was to tweak the color image and bring the dog out somehow. What I basically did was I bumped the contrast a little bit, and I bumped the exposure a little bit, maybe a third of a stop, I think is what I ended up doing. I even applied some vignetting, about 15 or so, just to keep the viewer's eyes away from the corners and try to get more focused on the dog. And that kind of helped a little bit. It brought the darker colors out by, in my mind anyway, by increasing the contrast and the exposure, but it really didn't go far enough. I think I called that one my color one. Yeah. So you know, this leg back here gets lost with this blue. I'm assuming that's an ice chest. I don't know. This sunlight up here coming through on the ear and the face, it's just to me it's a little bit of a distraction. But you know, this time of day and trying to take a picture of an animal, you got to do what you got to do, and I understand that, and that's fine. So the next thing I did was basically just reduce the saturation to 0 or to -100 to turn it black and white. And because the dog is one of the darkest things on the photo, that kind of helped. And maybe that would have been enough, but I don't know. I didn't stop there. I actually pushed it a little more with Photoshop and some masks, just to make the dog pop out of the background. So let's go on into Photoshop and see what I did there. So I started with my color tweaks. And basically what I thought I would do here would be to just go somewhere between my color and my full black and white, because I thought that the dog, like I said, needed to be the primary focus here, and it needed to be, it just needed to jump out from the background. So what I ended up doing was coming over here and creating a black and white adjustment layer, which basically does the same thing I did in Bridge. It puts a layer on top of the background and basically takes all the saturation out of it. All right, so I did that, and whoa, you've got my black and white edit. So that's fine, but you'll notice that it also added a mask. So everything here that's in white will show up as black and white, and everything that I color in with black will show up. It's like cutting a hole through that mask to show the stuff behind it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change one of these colors to full white, just so I can have an eraser if I need it. And I'm going to switch to the black, because like I said, we're working on a white mask. I'm going to go to a brush, and basically what I did was I took I just colored the dog in black, and as you can see, everywhere I touch the dog with this brush, the colors are bleeding through. Alright, like I said, this is like taking scissors to that white piece of paper and letting you see through it to see the dog underneath it. So I just went on around. I'm just going to do it kind of sloppily here so you get the idea. I'll show you my finished product here in just a minute. Obviously I took a great deal more time in the finished product, but this is the general idea. So I got to this point and I looked at it and it was like, well, I don't really want the background completely black and white, but I want it to be less dominant. So what I ended up doing was I ended up backing the opacity off to about 75. So you get a little bit of an indication of the green grass, and that red is coming through on that crate in the background, and you kind of see a little bit of blue here in the back. So this is where I ended up. I'm going to turn this layer off and my final layer back on. And the only difference between the two layers that I just did was I took a great deal more time in finishing that mask. Let me show you how it turned out. Oops, wrong layer. That would be the wrong layer. And there's the finished mask for the touch-up work. Now what I haven't done, and the more I think about it, the more I think I probably should do, is spend a little more time with gray and kind of get these really bright light highlights out, especially in the ear there, because it kind of just draws my attention straight to that ear. But I'm not going to right now. I think what I'm going to do is just leave it the way it is. I'm going to get rid of this adjustment layer because we don't need it anymore. So yeah, there's my finished product. For all intents and purposes, there's the original. Pretty stunning picture. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, except that to my eye, the dog gets lost, and there's my tweaks to it. So anyway, I hope you like my edits, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these in the future. So with that, we'll stop this screencast until next time. See ya.